So put it up in the chat, put it in the Q&A if you have stuff that you guys want to go through, stuff that you guys want to cover. I want to make sure that you're getting the value that you want to get out of these calls, and I'm happy to talk about what I want to talk about, and I'm also just as happy to talk about what you guys want to talk about. So if you're running into stuff, selling virtually, issues, certain objections, things like that, then I'm happy to cover those things. So we've got, today's the last day of March, and, really just kind of zooming out a little bit, we're done with the first quarter of the year. Okay. So as of at the end of the day today, with quarter one, 2025, like, hey, that's in the books. And for some of you guys, quarter one has been really good. And for some of you guys, it hasn't been as good as you want it to be. So, first of all, I commend you for being on here to better yourself, get better at this business, like, really master your craft. And ultimately, no matter what you're going to do out there to make money and work and all that stuff, like, you ought to be really freaking good at it. All right. And so I commend you guys for being on here. You don't have to be. This is a voluntary call. It's not like you have to be on this. And nobody's looking, nobody's tracking. Okay. But you're on here. So I commend you guys for that. If you guys have questions, things you want to cover, put it in the chat, put it in the Q&A. Today I'm going to talk about objections. And let me just back up. Quarter one is done for the year. And maybe it's what you wanted it to be. Maybe it's not what you wanted it to be. Personally, for me, quarter one was not what I wanted it to be. And if I showed some of you guys my income numbers, you'd be like, man, I don't know. How is that possible? It's because I have bigger goals than where I'm at. So I'm not happy with where I was at for the first quarter of this year. Okay, it felt like it wasn't, so it wasn't what I wanted to be. So what am I going to do different in the second quarter? What am I going to do different? Okay, starting today. All right. And I'm just throwing this out there for you guys too. It's like, what do you want to do different moving forward to get the results that you want to get? And for most of us, okay, the answer is like, hey, I need to get more leads, I need to make more dials, I need to have more conversations. Okay, so I'm going to talk about like some strategy and, hey, how do we overcome objections and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, it's about working hard. It's about being on top of your game. It's about being better. Okay, like I had goals as far as like, hey, how many annuities I wanted to issue and the premium there and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't hit those goals. And the only I got to look in the mirror is what I'm getting at. And if your goal, if you didn't hit your goals, like, you got to look in the mirror. Okay, that is the truth. So I'm going to talk about some skills, and I hope you implement some of these things, overcoming objections and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, we got to make the calls, we got to do the work, we got to do the things that we want to do if we want to keep gunning for our goals, if we want to keep going for more, and trying to achieve the things that we want to achieve. Like, we have this beautiful business where you can go make as much money as you want to make. There's no caps. You don't have a boss. It's incredible. All right. But if you're not putting in the work, then you're not going to get where you want to get to. So you got to look at it, you got to look in the mirror. If you want a helping hand, you got to look at the end of your own wrist. Okay. And I'm saying this to you guys, but really I'm saying this to myself too. Okay. Because the first quarter of this year wasn't what I wanted it to be, as far as my goals go. So, with that, what I wanted to talk about on here is closing, overcoming objections, things like that. But again, I want you guys we could talk about whatever you guys want to talk about on here. And so let's see. First thing on here is saying for ethos leads, the biggest thing for me is getting the one call close. Always ends up in a follow-up. Should I push harder for a one call close, or should I continue to foster a trusting relationship without cornering them? Great question. I would say the second one. Okay, you got to get really, really comfortable with. This is just my opinion. Okay, let me click that button there. This is my opinion on the ethos leads. I am very comfortable with a 2-call close. Sometimes it goes to a 3-call close, whatever. I think you ought to go for a 1-call close, especially on the older clients that are going to be, final expense type scenarios. And you could just plug it all into the toolkit and get the answer, and you could do it right then and there. But the thing with the ethos leads is, a lot of the time you're catching these people at work. They've got a couple minutes. Hey, I'm about to run into the grocery store, whatever they're doing. And so, get the information that you need. You almost want to split these things up. The way that I think about it is, the first call, or the first part of the call, is the problem. Okay. And then the second call, or the second part of the first call, is the solution. Okay. And, so we've got the problem and then we've got a solution. So maybe what ends up happening is, you could do problem and solution all in one call, and that's a one call close. Okay. But also maybe not. Maybe you end up having like, hey, problem, what's the problem? You're trying to get life insurance. Ethos was too expensive, whatever it is. Okay. So you're trying to figure out the problem. Well, what has you shopping around for life insurance in the first place? They give you those answers, and you're focused on the problem, and then you have to do the solution on a second call. Okay, that happens quite a bit of the time just because people are busy. And so you need to get comfortable with one call closes. You need to get comfortable with two call closes. Okay, and sometimes it's going to be three, and you got to do follow ups, or hey, maybe they're buying an IUL and we got to get them on Zoom or whatever the case happens to be. But to answer that question specifically, be okay with a two call close. Okay, be totally okay with the two call close. If you push too much to, boom, problem solution with some of these people, okay, not all of them, but with some of these people, if you push too much on to go for a one call close, they're just not feeling it. They're not about that. And they're going to feel more comfortable with the two call close. So great question there. Keep them coming if you guys have more questions. Hopefully that was helpful. If you want more clarity on that, about how I might do it, then type in there. Let me know. And today I want to talk about objections. So I'll just take a couple minutes, and then we can go through some of your guys' questions or specific objections that you guys are getting as you're calling these leads. But what I want you guys to know and understand, number one, is as you're calling people. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but you're not their lawyer. Okay, you're also not their best friend. It is a business casual relationship. The quicker you can get a little bit more casual with the people, they kind of like that. Okay, you don't want to be too casual. You don't need to be calling them bro or dude, or you can, but just understand, like, you're not their lawyer. You're trying to be their life insurance agent. So you want to have the right tone with this, and that will help with overcoming objections, just how you approach everything. And the way that I end up approaching stuff, and I've been in the business for a while, so those of you guys that are new, maybe this isn't as helpful for you, but I just am extremely confident in what I'm telling you. Okay. Number one, I'm leading the conversation. Okay. I'm not letting the client lead the conversation, because the client, if they knew what the hell was going on, they would already have a life policy. You get that, right? Like, we're not talking to the people, that already have, oh, I've already got $1 million permanent life insurance policy that I bought when I was 22 years old. We're not talking to those people. We're talking to people that need life insurance for one reason or another. They're shopping around. They heard about Ethos, so they went to go get, a quote. They didn't like the quote there, so now that's how we get the Ethos leads. So, I'm going to take control of the conversation. The conversation is going to go the direction that I want it to go. I'm going to get a lot of the client's input, okay, and I'm going to speak with confidence to everything that I'm saying, but I'm steering the conversation. And I think a lot of times, if we, especially when we're new, and it's hard when we're new because we're timid, we don't know exactly what's going on. So a lot of this confidence is going to come with time. But I'm going to steer the conversation where I want the conversation to go. Okay, and it sounds something like this. Robert, yeah, hey Robert, it's Nick with Legacy Life. I'm just getting back with you. You looks like you'd started an application with one of our partner companies called Ethos for life insurance, and that application didn't get finished. So, like, what happened with that? Was the price too high? Did they kick you out for health reasons? That's my intro, and it's long, and it doesn't always work like that, and people hang up on me too. Okay, so but the thing is that I say the intro with confidence. I know what I'm saying. I know who I am. I know, why. Here's the reason I'm calling you. Okay, and so you can't be timid in that first 30 seconds, and you got to steer the conversation where you want it to go. So they tell me, oh yeah, I was just looking for quotes. I was just shopping around, whatever. Okay, cool. So what had you shop around for life insurance in the first place? What has you looking for life insurance, to begin with? I'm going to ask them a why question. And, again, I'm going to talk about objections here in a second, but a lot of us are getting objections in that first 30 seconds. Okay. Right off the jump, they're like, oh, I already got it taken care of. Or, if you guys are getting all kinds of different stuff, let me know what you guys are getting, but I got it taken care of, not interested anymore. Oh, I just, I mean, those are really the objections. I already got taken care of. Not interested anymore. Let me know if you guys are getting something else with the ethos leads. But you need to know what to say to those things, and you need to be able to say those things with confidence. Okay, so hey, yeah, I already got this taken care of. I'm like, oh, great. Like, I am happy for them that they got life insurance. Some of you guys are like, oh man, they already got it taken care of, and it comes off on the phone. Okay, so um, someone says they already got it taken care of, like, oh man, that's great. When'd you end up setting that up? And just, I think I've talked about this recently, but just to reiterate, when they say that they've already got something set up, when did you get it set up? When did you get that taken care of? Oh, that's great. When did you get that set up? It's an easy question for them to answer. And once they answer that question, then it's easier to ask, who'd you get it set up with? How much did you get? Blah, 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 blah. All the other details that we need to get. Some of us are like, they're like, hey, I already got it set up. And like, well, who'd you get? Who's the company? And you say it in I'm imagining that we have some agents that are saying this in an abrasive way. Okay. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but like, I'm not saying any of this stuff in an abrasive way. Okay. I'm like, hey, cool. Hey, that's great. When'd you get that set up? Oh, I got it last week. All right, cool. Then I'm going to ask, like, who'd you end up going with? Like, who'd you end up setting it up with? And oh, well, I got it set up with Prudential. I got it set up with, Mutual of Omaha. I got it set up with this company, this company. Oh, okay, cool. What'd you end up getting? And I'm just here to be helpful to them. I'm speaking confidently. I know what to say. Hey, I already got it taken care of. Oh, that's great. When'd you end up setting that up? And once they answer when, it's easier for me to go to what company and all the other details that I want to get. Okay, so that's how you overcome that objection in the first 30 seconds. Another objection that you're going to get in the first 30 seconds is like, hey, I'm really, really busy. Obviously they're not that busy if they answered the phone. Okay, so if they're not that busy, they answered the phone. It's like, oh, cool, yeah, no worries. Does it make sense? Do you have a quick 30 seconds? Just to see if it even makes sense for me to give you a call back. Like, yeah, okay, cool. It's very great. So, you were shopping for life insurance. What had you originally shopping for life insurance in the first place? Basically, like, you can overcome that objection with, hey, do you just have a quick minute to see if it even makes sense for me to give you a call back? Okay. That's what you say to that. And again, you just got to be able to say these things confidently, and you ought to have them down. Okay. Like, we've got it on the script. Go to legacylife.co/virtual. It's on there. We've got the words to say is on there. It's just up to you to say those words confidently. Okay. So those are objections that you get in the first 30 seconds. If you guys are getting other stuff, let me know. Put it in the chat. Put it in the Q&A. But that's the first 30 seconds. Now, if you go through everything right, if you go through everything in a way that you're steering the conversation where you want the conversation to go, okay, we're going to have the problem part of the conversation, and then we're going to have the solution part of the conversation. When I'm doing the problem part of the conversation with the person, this could be in a 1-call close, this could be in a 2-call close, but it's really problem is the first part, solution is the second part. When I'm having the problem part, like, I am asking them questions to get them to explain to me, all right, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to set up? All that kind of stuff. And what has them shopping for life insurance. And I'm the one steering the conversation, and I'm steering it with my questions. So, Bob, what had you shop around for life insurance in the first place? Like, oh, well, I've got this policy and it's running out and this is happening and this is happening. Okay, cool. Do you know how much coverage you were looking to get set up? Like, when you applied with Ethos, how much coverage did you apply for? And I'm just asking them questions to try and figure out what the problem is. All right. Sometimes we'll have people that they will just jump out right away. Oh, well, I'm just looking to get $1 million worth of coverage, blah, 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 blah. Give them a little bit of pushback on, like, well, okay, that's great. How did you come up with that number? How did you come up with $1 million? And make them explain their thinking to you. All right. That will help in determining what the why is. Okay. Like, I'm calling it problem, but really what we're trying to search for and what we were really trying to pull out of them is, why are they shopping for life insurance? Why do they want to make, this purchase of life insurance? Why were they shopping online? Like, really, why? All right. If we don't know why they're trying to get the coverage, then we're going to have a hard time trying to present somebody a solution if we don't know really what the problem is. Okay. And so I'm steering the conversation where I want it to go. And on the problem side of the call, and this is going to help with overcoming objections on the other end. Okay, and I'll give you guys some tips of like what I do here. But I'm trying to figure out why they want to get the coverage. How much are they looking to get? Why didn't they figure sign up with Ethos? Usually it's the price is too high, or they got kicked out for health reasons or whatever. And I'm trying to figure out the problem. And if you know what the problem is, it's easy to talk about a solution. The issue with a lot of agents is we don't know what the problem is. Okay, we don't know why they got declined. We don't know why they're shopping around for life insurance. We don't know why they want $1 million worth of coverage. We're just trying to give them a solution. We're just trying to shove a solution down their throat. Okay, and people aren't going to buy a solution if they don't clearly understand the problem. So we're gonna have a lot easier of a time if we fully identify what is the problem. Okay, great. So let me just make sure I'm hearing this right. You want to get $1 million worth of coverage, take care of your wife, take care of the kids. If something happens, the kids are little, maybe help pay for the kids' school, that kind of thing. Is that all right? Yeah. Cover the mortgage. Yep. Okay, cool. So once I figure out what the problem is, then I'm going to ask this question. Okay. And it's easy to not ask this question. It's easy to ask this question. So here's the question. And I'm just telling you guys, we're getting a little commitment from the client. Okay. Some of us are getting frustrated because, we're talking with lots of people, and then we have a bunch of people over here that, are no showing the appointments and all this other stuff. We need to get little commitments from the client. Here's the commitment that I get. Great. So if we could find something that covers this, insert their why. If we could find something that covers this, makes it so your wife doesn't, have to go back to work and worry about childcare for the kids and all that kind of stuff. Should something happen to you, heaven forbid, help pay for the kids' college, pay off the house, like whatever they told me the why was. If we could find something that covers this and it fits the budget, is there anything that would stop you from getting something set up? If we could find something that covers this and it fits the budget, is there anything else that would stop you from getting something set up? Basically, what I'm asking them right there is like, hey, I'm gonna use your words and repeat the problem back to you. Okay. So hey, if we could solve this problem that you told me that you have and it fits within your budget, are there any other objections you might have? That's what I'm asking them. And I'm getting a commitment from them. Like, hey, if I can help you solve this problem, it fits the budget, you ready to rock and roll? And usually they're like, no, yeah, if so long as it fits the budget, we'll be good to go. All right, great. Then I'm going to go move towards solution. But I'm really not going to move towards solution until I get that commitment from them. Because I think a lot of us are getting frustrated where we have people, we help them identify the problem. Let me back up. We either don't help them identify the problem or we help them identify the problem. And then we just move forward and we don't get any little commitments from them. And then we wonder why they're hard to get a hold of on the second appointment or whatever. And I understand, like, not every client is going to be perfect. Not every situation is going to be perfect. You're going to have times where you do everything by the book, awesome, A plus, and these people still no show you. Okay, so I understand that it's not always going to go perfect, but I'm just saying, like, hey, if we can do things better, let's do things better. Well, one of the things that we can for sure do better is, number one, identify the problem. Number two, get a commitment from them. All right. How, if I can help you solve your problem and it fits the budget, would you be, anything else that would hold you back? Like, we're going to get that commitment from the client. And most of them are like, yeah, so long as it fits the budget, like I'm good to go. Great. And then I'm going to jump into the solution. And when it comes to getting the solution, like, even if you just do the problem part of the phone call right there, where this is a 1 call close, 2 call close, whatever. Okay. If you do that part really good, you're going to overcome most of the objections that you might get on the back end anyways. Okay. Now let me just tell you guys this. One of the biggest, one of the questions we had on here was about, hey, 1 call close versus 2 call close. I would start thinking about things, yes, it might be 1 call, it might be 2 calls, it might be 3 calls, whatever. But I would start thinking about things in the frame of problem and solution. And let's say it ends up being a 1 call type of scenario. Okay. Hey, we've identified the problem. Let's say it's a final expense type scenario. Great. Hey, we can get you, if we can find something that covers this, has enough money for your family, for the kids to be able to bury you, not have to worry about money, not have to take out loans or any of that kind of stuff. When that day comes, Sharon, God willing, 30 years from now, If we can find something that covers this and it fits the budget, anything else that would stop you from getting started, from getting something set up? No? Great. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go shop this around. All right. And we're going to, we've got software on here, where we can look at all the different companies that we work with. We work with 30 plus different insurance companies to get you the best stuff, blah, 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 blah. You go through the health. Hey, what's your birthday? Tobacco, anything major as far as health goes. And quick note, you guys, just when you're gathering people's health information, here's how I do it. Here's exactly how I do it. Like, all right, Sharon, I've got your birthday as 12 to 1960. Is that right? Yep. Okay, cool. Are you a tobacco user? No. All right. And then as far as health goes, anything major going on. And when I say major, I mean things like heart attack, strokes, mini strokes, cancer, diabetes. I throw out the biggest problem things that we have. Okay. And I let her answer. And I just tell you guys, like, number one, don't ask those individually. Hey, Sharon, any cancer? No. Any diabetes? No. Like, don't ask those individually. Okay. You're just keeping them on the phone for nothing. Like, hey, as far as health goes, anything major? And when I say major, here's what I mean. I mean heart attack, stroke, mini stroke, cancer, diabetes. And they will tell you, oh, well, you know what? I'm on dialysis or whatever their health situation is. They'll tell you, or they'll just outright tell you, like, oh, no, I don't have any. Okay, great. What prescriptions do they have you take it? And then they'll start telling you, oh, I'm taking this one for high blood pressure. I'm taking this one for this. I'm taking this one for that, whatever. Okay. So that's exactly how I go through it. So anything major, heart attack, stroke, mini stroke, cancer, diabetes. You can even throw in there like diabetes that requires insulin. But just anything major, okay, cool. Nothing major. What prescriptions do they have you taken? And I don't ask, do they have you taking prescriptions? I'm saying, what prescriptions do they have you taking? Because if they're not taking anything, they're just going to, oh, I'm not taking anything. And they'll just kind of tell you what prescriptions. Okay, great. Got all those prescriptions here. And then last thing, Sharon, what's your current height, current weight? That's how I ask it. Current height, current weight. It's a nicer way to ask that. And so you go through all the health stuff, and then we're going to put a solution together. And here's the point that I'm getting at is, okay, I've fully identified the problem. Now I'm starting to work on a solution. I still need their input for the solution. And let's say that I'm talking with Sharon. She's not taking anything. She's healthy. She's born 1960. So let's say that she is, let's just say she's 65 years old. Okay. And let's say she's healthy and she wants $50,000 worth of coverage. Okay. Make sure to cover funeral, final expenses, whatever. And if I know what the solution is, okay, 50,000, she wants permanent, she's healthy. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to move forward with, like, hey, here's the solution and here's how I'm going to position that. Okay. Especially to overcome some of these objections that might come up. Like, all right, great. So, listen, Sharon, we work with 30 plus different companies, and there's really a couple of options. If you're for a healthy 65-year-old like yourself, like, sounds like you're healthy, sounds like you're kicking butt. We've got a couple of companies that just by far, if you can qualify, they are the best. Okay. In fact, they're not just the best. We've got, like, they're some of the best in the country right now. And it looks like you're healthy enough to qualify. And one of them is with a company called Mutual of Omaha. And I'm go through the thing. But here's the objection that I want to overcome right there, and how I position my solution. People think if they get a different agent that they might get a different price. People think if they get, if they go shop it around even more themselves and they call AARP, they're going to get a different price, okay, or better something. Like, hey, so listen, I've been doing this for a while. This is the best permanent policy out there if you're healthy enough to qualify, Sharon. And I think you're healthy enough to qualify for this. In fact, these guys are really the cheapest in the country. Okay, so like the 50,000 is going to come out to blah 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 $143 a month. To get that 50,000. Is that in the budget? Is that out of the budget? Okay, so I'm taking away the objection of, like, oh, well, let me go talk to another agent somewhere else and see if I can get a better price. Because they're not. Okay, like, we have access to all the best solutions out there. So I'm going to talk about Mutual of Omaha. I'm going to talk about, or Americo or whatever you're doing. Like, those are both great priced products for somebody in that scenario. And I'm like, hey, is that in the budget? Is that out of the budget? Oh, that's a little bit out of the budget. Hey, no worries. So that was for 50,000. 40,000 comes out to, I'm making these numbers up, so don't hold me to these. $106.24. Is that in the budget? Oh yeah, that's way more in the budget. Okay, is that doable? Is that doable for you? Yeah, that's doable for me. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do here, Sharon, is I'm going to pull up the application with Mutual of Omaha. Bear with me just a second. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot. And I'm just telling you guys, if you're one call closing, you need to do this. Okay. If you're one call closing, you need to do this. And if you're two call closing, if the problem solution ends up being over 2 calls or more, you need to do this in between the appointments. Okay. Because they just met you 13 minutes ago on the internet. Okay. Or over a phone call. Okay. They don't know who you are. So, we're talking about overcoming objections. The best way to overcome objections is to not get the objections, is overcome them before you get an objection. The number one real objection that we're getting from people is they don't trust you. Okay. Maybe it's how you talk over the phone, but really the truth is they just met you 13 minutes ago. That's the problem. They don't know who you are. You got a random phone call. Hey, you put an application with Ethos, whatever. Let me sell you something else. Okay. So here's what I do. Great. This fits the budget. Solution works. Okay, Sharon, do you get text messages of this phone that we're talking on right now? Yeah. And I pull out my phone and I'm on the phone with her and I send her a text message and I'm saying, okay, so before we pull this up, I forgot to do this. I'm going to send you my virtual business card. Okay. And I'm just telling you, you can almost hear it in their voice when I tell them this. You can hear them just calm down a little bit. Like, hey, because they don't know you. They just met you 14 minutes ago, 13 minutes ago, whatever it is. They want to pump the brakes. Okay. So, and we're pushing them towards a one call close potentially. So we're going to get objections on that. I'm going to send them my virtual business card. And this is what I say. I'm like, hey, Sharon, I'm going to send you my virtual business card. It'll just be a text message. It's got a picture of me and my family on there. It's got my name, my phone number, my email, and it's also got my license number on there. Okay. And that's what I say to them. And this is what my virtual business card looks like. If you guys can see that, you can make it on Canva, is a website. Just make it on there for free. Okay. And just throw all your stuff on there. Put your NPN on there. Because I just say, hey, it's got my name, my phone number, my email. It's got my license number on there. And I do that before I start the application. Okay. On a one call close. On a 2 call close, when we get off right before we get off the phone, all right, Gerald, I'm going to call you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Make sure you're ready for me. Don't forget about me. And hey, before I let you go here, I'm going to send you a picture. It's my virtual business card. It's just got it's got my picture on there, so you can put a face to the voice, but it's also got my phone number, my email, my license number on there. Just that way you know who you're doing business with. Okay. And I'm just telling you guys, like, that little thing right there makes a huge difference. So if you're not doing that, you need to start doing that. If 1 call, 2 call, whatever it ends up being, doesn't matter. You need to send them that, because you are going to run into objections if you're trying to 1 call somebody and you didn't send them that. They don't have your license number and your phone number and email and a picture of you. You're going to run into issues with them trusting you as you're putting in the application. Okay, and it's going to be a problem. And then you might as well do it in between anyways. People like to know who they're doing business with. Okay. Now, how do you overcome objections past that point? We're going through the application. Oh, well, I don't want this to start till May, or, all that kind of stuff. You can, those objections, if you get objections over there, and the easiest way is to overcome them before you ever get them. Sometimes you're still going to run into objections over here. Or, I don't know my account number, or, hey, I don't know that I'm ready to do this, or whatever it happens to be. You're still going to get some of those objections, even if you do everything right. Okay. You're still going to get some of those. You want to think through some of these things. Like someone says like, well, I just don't know, if I want to start this right now, or I don't know, the premium seems too high. Like, notice how I go through my appointment. Like, I ask them point blank, like, does this fit within the budget? Is this doable? Okay. So they're really not giving me other objections later. Okay. Or, same thing with the question of like, hey, if we could find something that covers this and it fits the budget, is there any reason why you wouldn't get it set up? I'm like, I'm asking for other objections. Sometimes they'll say, oh, well, I got to talk with my spouse first. I'll be honest, like, I really don't get a whole lot of that. Okay. So, the best way to overcome objections is to cover them before you get them, and just go through everything the way that I'm talking about here, where you fully understand the problem. you present a solution, you get them all of your credentials before you start, asking for personal, private personal information, all that good stuff. And it's just going to make your life a whole lot easier. You're still going to get some objections, on the back end. And if you guys are getting some objections on the back end and you want some help, like, hey, how do we overcome these? Put it up in the chat. I've been blabbing for like 30 minutes at this point. So, that's what I got to say about objections. We could do some more stuff, in the future about like, hey, how do we overcome some of these, back end objections? I'll just tell you guys, like, I really don't get tons of those. Okay. Like, we're setting up in a way that fits their budget. They know that they need it. They know why they're getting the coverage, all that good stuff. So, we can hang out on here for a couple more minutes. I want to kind of keep it short and sweet, but any questions that you guys have about this or other objections that you're getting that maybe you're curious on how I might overcome them or what I might say to some of that stuff, put it up in the chat, put it in the Q&A. Happy to hang out and talk about some of this stuff. And hopefully you guys are finding this helpful today. There we go. Thank you for your participation. How do I re-engage the client if they missed the second call and didn't send the virtual card? Wasn't aware of that tip. Any advice? That's a great question. So here's what I do, and here's the part of the trade-off with virtual. When you're virtual, like, you're going to be chasing people around because they're going to be no-showing you left and right, and you need to protect yourself from getting discouraged by that. Okay, like, it's just part of the game. They're going to freaking no-show you, like half of them. Okay, you don't want that. Go in person. Go drive around town. You know what I mean? Like that's okay too. I started there. It's just like, no matter how you do this business, like, there's no easy, perfect way to go do this business. So, like, something is gonna suck. Okay. And when you're in person, you drive 30 minutes to someone's house and they no-show you. That sucks. Okay. When you're virtual, you schedule an appointment, you do everything right, and they still no-show you. Like, that sucks. Okay. So here's what I do. They no-show me. Like, let's say it ends up being a 2-call close. Okay, all right, Cheryl, I'm going to give you a call tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Here's my blah, 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 blah. Make sure you're ready for me. Don't forget about me. Put me in your calendar. You're in my calendar. I do all those things to schedule the appointment. I call her the next day at 10 o'clock. She doesn't answer. I'm going to send her a text message. Most of these ethos leads are a little bit younger. So I'm just going to say, hey, Cheryl, just tried calling you at 10 o'clock as planned. Okay, I tried calling you at 10 o'clock as planned. Is now still a good time for us to chat? Question mark. Send. Okay, and then I'm gonna sit there and I send her that text message. Let's say she doesn't respond to that. I'm gonna try her again in like 15 minutes. And again, I already know what the problem is. Like, she told me what the problem was. So I'm going to send her that first text message. I'm going to try her again in 15 minutes. And then I might try her again like 30 minutes after that. So, like, let's say the appointment was at 10 o'clock. I'm going to try her at 10, send her that text, try her at 10:15, try her again at 10:45. Okay, or 10:30, depending on what your schedule looks like. But I'm going to try her a couple more times. Okay, and I'm just going to assume the best. All right, and I'm going to put her in my follow-up pile. All right, you're going to have tons of people in your follow-up pile. Like, not everybody uses paper, but let me just show you guys this. So you're going follow-up pile. Like, look at all these, just gobs of people just no-showed me. It's just part of the deal. Now, if you call those people, like, you're gonna get some responses. You call them another day, and most of the time, like, just something came up. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I missed our appointment. My grandson needed to go be picked up from school, and he got in trouble. Like, something came up. So I'm always gonna assume the best of intentions from the client. Okay, I'm never gonna be like, well, Jennifer, why weren't you there? Like, I'm not going to be rude to them. Like, you win them with honey, not vinegar. You win them with honey, not vinegar. Okay. And I just assume the best intentions, something came up, whatever. But that's how I go about it if they no-show me. And then I just put them in that follow-up pile and just keep following up with them. It's a long answer. Hopefully that helps. Next one. When they have a policy in place that they got 6 weeks ago, do you ask how much they're paying? Or just try to quote without that knowledge? Absolutely, 1,000,000%. Okay, so first thing I'm going to ask, I'm on the phone with them. They're like, oh, I just got a policy. Oh, great. When did you end up getting that? When did you get that set up? Oh, I got it 6 weeks ago. So I'm getting a little, they're telling me a little bit of information, and it's kind of giving, I ask them an easy question. Now it's easier for me to ask a question, the next question. So when did you get it set up? I got it 6 weeks ago. Okay, cool. Who'd you end up going with? Like, who'd you get it set up with? Oh, I got it with Prudential. All right. And how much coverage did you get? What do they got you paying on the Prudential? Like, again, think about if you were talking to your car insurance person and they called you or someone called you about car insurance and like, hey, you just, you put an application for this car insurance, didn't go with it. What's going on there? Blah, 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 blah. Just think about if it's car insurance and there's no way in hell you would, like, sometimes with life insurance, we have the people like, I'm not telling you who my company's with. I'm like, what are you worried that I'm going to make myself the beneficiary? Like, what are you worried about? If your car insurance, if someone called you and is like, hey man, like, you filled out this thing for car insurance, and let's say you already got it taken care of, and then they're like, oh, when did you get it set up? You're like, I don't know, like a week ago. They're like, okay, cool. And who'd you end up going with? It's not a weird question. Okay. Who'd you end up going with? What do they got you paying? Oh yeah. So that's what I ask. And I wouldn't it's hard to want to move forward without knowing what they got set up, because maybe they got something good, and I'm honest with people. Like, I'm not just over here trying to sell everyone. Like, there's certain situations with companies that we don't do business with and companies that we do business with where, like, they've already got it set up and they've got something good. And I'll just tell them, like, man, those guys, like, that's a good one. You need to hang on to that. What do I care? I'm just gonna be honest with them. You know what I mean? So if they got something good, I'm gonna tell them they got something good, but I'm not gonna really move forward unless I know what it is. In final expense, I often had a consequence question. What if we don't have something set up and you pass away, to drive home the problem? I think that's great. Do I do this with ethos leads or not as necessary? That's a really good question. I mean, as you're selling the leads more and more and more, guys, and you get more used to different lead types. We're talking a lot about ethos on here today. You're just going to find out how you like to do it and what you best like to say and what you best like to do. To answer your question, Mike, I don't ask them that. Or I don't say that, but I don't think it's bad to. You know what I mean? Like, if you're used to saying that, like, hey man, I know you want $1 million. Sounds like you don't have anything set up. Let me just ask you this: like, what if you don't have anything set up and something happens? Like, what does that look like for your wife and the kids? Nothing wrong with asking that. You know what I mean? You really can't go wrong. You can't go wrong asking more why type questions and getting more why from clients. You really can't go wrong there. Just, I don't personally do it as much with the ethos leads. They are just, broad strokes here. It's not 100% true all the time, but the ethos leads are going to trend younger. They're going to trend more transactional. So you just have to do your best to get some of the why in there. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to openly say, like, well, man, I was just thinking about this, and if I die, Jenny's, up a creek without a paddle, and blah blah blah. They're not going to volunteer. Like, they're trending younger, they're trending more transactional. So the more why questions that you can ask, really, the better. So, Hilla, I think that's I would, dude, if it's already in your vernacular and that's already some of the stuff that you're saying, or that you're used to saying, like, dude, go for it. Just see how it works. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you can really go wrong asking more why questions with these clients. It's like they're going to trend more transactional, and if you can just you know what I mean? Like, if this is transactional, you're just quoting people numbers, and then this is like, we're crying with them at their kitchen table. Okay, like, if these are the two sides of the spectrum here, ethos is going to trend this way. But if you could just hit it, get a couple notches back this way. We don't need to cry with them at their kitchen table. Okay. And that's hard to do with them over the phone anyways, but just get them a little bit more this way, with some why questions. I think that's a great idea. And here's the other thing I forgot to mention. We want to find out the why if we're doing a second call close, like it ends up having to be a callback. At the beginning of that callback, call them, and when you call them, like, hey Janet, yeah, hey Janet, it's Nick, just giving you a call, like we planned, for talk about the life insurance, and it's now still a good time. Yeah, okay, cool, great news. Here's what I say: great news, we were able to find some really good options for you. I just want to make sure that we're setting this up the right way, and then I'm gonna tap on the why. I'm gonna just tap on it. hey, so, last time we talked, you said you wanted to set this up, make sure that the kids, didn't have to do it, that everything was taken care of for funeral, final expenses, and that the kids didn't have to come out of pocket when that day comes, right? I'm just going to tap on the why. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and like rekindle and re-bring up everything, but I'm just going to tap on it. Okay. And she's like, yeah, like, okay, cool. So like, hey, I'm burying the lead. Like I'm telling her like, hey, we found really great options. Just want to make sure that we set this up right. Hey, we're doing this for this reason, this reason, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to go to the solution and tell her what the solution is and what the numbers are and all that kind of stuff. So many times on our second calls, we just want to jump right into the numbers. And maybe there's a week between these calls, or maybe there's a day between these calls. Either way, touch on the why. Go just tap on it on that second call. Okay. Remind them why we're having this conversation. Remind them why we're doing this in the first place. So hopefully this has been some good tips for you guys. And like I said, we've today's the last day of Q1 2025. Let's I just put it out there. I just want to put this out there. Like, think about what you want the next 3 months to look like, and start moving towards like what did you do good the first quarter? What could you have done better? And what do you want the next quarter to look like? And then what are you actually going to implement? Is it buying more leads? Is it making more dials? Is it some of these little tips that I'm talking about in here? Hey, I'm gonna build the why better in the second quarter. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make more dials in the second quarter. Like, what is it? What are you going to do better to make the second quarter better than the first quarter for you, for your business, for your team? So appreciate you guys. That's what we got for today, and let's go kick some ass, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Later.